Arizona's athletic program allows star quarterback Khalil Tate to hold the program hostage in its hiring of a football coach last January. How one referee is shaming parents who act like complete jerks at Little League games, and who gets custody of frozen embryos after a divorce. These stories and more next on the 520. Welcome to the 520. I'm Steve Nunez.
And I'm Arty the fourth. Thanks for joining us.
And here you go again. A Notre Dame shirt.
Yeah, it's a good school. It's a good school.
As a USC Trojan, they are rivals.
Brady Quinn.
Probably the biggest rival for the Trojans, and you're going to wear that shirt.
Jerome Bettis.
I would never sell out my Wildcats.
It's not a sellout.
Never, ever.
I support them.
Ever
I support
sell
them.
out my Wildcats by wearing an ASU shirt just because I bought it at the swap meet for $5.
It's not that important.
Just kidding. All right. Still unacceptable, man. Unacceptable. All right. Well, did U of A star quarterback Khalil dictate the hiring of Kevin Sumlin as Arizona's football coach? Yahoo Sports is reporting Tate now admits he tweeted, quote, "I didn't come to Arizona to run the triple option," end quote. Was intentionally posted to sink the hiring of Ken Niumatalolo. At the time, the Navy coach was a front-runner to replace Rich Rod, who was fired in January over sexual harassment allegations. What say you on this one?
Let me just start by saying that if by any circumstances anyone thinks that a little boy from Inglewood, California has any say in who the school is choosing to give $24 million to because he scored a few touchdowns, they're absolutely delusional. He's absolutely delusional if he thinks he had any say in how this went down.
That's ridiculous. He did have a say. He admits he had a say. More importantly, we called this out on the 520 when we said that Dr. Robert Robbins was seen at the U of A basketball game with Khalil Tate. What the heck is the president of the University of Arizona doing with a 19-year-old star quarterback at a basketball game? You know why? Because Tate had his ear, and guess what? He has the U of A's pocketbook right now. U of A is in desperate need of trying to sell football tickets, raise more money to pay for all that money they're losing on lawsuits, and remember, there's an $8 million settlement pending right now for Rich Rod. So this game is not over. And you better damn right believe that Khalil Tate, a 19-year-old quarterback from Inglewood, he had a say. And he's not the first quarterback or star football player at a university, and he will not be the last.
I gotta disagree with you. Of course, that may be the hollow shell that the university is putting in front of him, and Khalil Tate may be they may be taking such good care of him that he believes he's in that situation to have that power, but I disagree completely. Why would a university give the power to decide who the next head coach is going to be to their quarterback?
Because a university needs money.
So the university
needs to sell season tickets. So they need to fill that stadium.
The university is telling a 19-year-old kid, you are more powerful than me.
Yep.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Yes, yes, yes.
Up next, will legendary Sunnyside high school football coach Richard Sanchez hurt his legacy if he fails to miraculously turn a struggling Santa Rita program into a winner? Sanchez is taking over an Eagles football program that went 0-9 last season. The Eagles have won 7 games over the last 7 years. Sanchez hasn't coached football since he retired in 2010.
Wow. For him to come out of football coaching retirement and take on a program that has only won 7 games since 2012. Are you kidding me?
By the seat of their pants.
That is quite a job he's going to really have to do to turn the Santa Rita football program around, because look at the demographics on the southeast side of Tucson. It's not the same like it used to be. They used to produce some really good athletes over there. They don't have the athletes in that area anymore. Everyone's moving to Vail or to Sahuarita. And that's why you're seeing a void there. But for Richard Sanchez, who was 157 and 59, won 2 titles in 2001 and 2003 to come back, whoa.
And to me, someone that's spent a lot of time working in the football industry, they either presented him with one heck of an opportunity, like, hey, we'll give you the department head of physical education.
And I think they did.
And all you have to do is teach kids how to play ultimate frisbee all day, and then you can coach football. Or they have something in line for him to where it will revolutionize the program, but this guy didn't make this decision on sheer will.
I wish him the best of luck, but man, that's a mountain to climb.
Tough, tough, tough.
All right, U of A basketball coach Sean Miller says this year's team is not going to be that good, but is Miller's new recruiting strategy showing signs he's becoming more like Luke? Well, in a rare July press briefing, a media-friendly, get that, media-friendly Miller let reporters have access to some of his players. Miller also opened up about changing his strategy to focus less on recruiting 5-star one-and-done players and instead recruit more 4-star players who want to stay in school. Is he not just turning a new leaf? Are we seeing a new Miller?
We're seeing a Sean Miller being forced into a corner by his own bad decisions to the point of where he has to make a sweeping declaration like this. To me, it's not even, oh, we should start looking at more 4-stars that want to stay in school. It's just looking at basketball players that believe in the Wildcat way. They believe in the city of Tucson and they want to contribute to it. He hasn't recruited some of those kids in a long time. They could be 5-stars, they could be 2-stars, they could be anyone. He just has to spend more time dissecting the kids one by one to figure out who that is. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh, we're going to make a compromise in skill set just so that they can stay in school longer. No, just make sure you're taking your time with your recruiting.
I agree with you on that. I'm done with one-and-doners. I'm sick of that. I think it's ruining not only the college game, but it's ruining the NBA game. But I like the strategy of trying to get players who are more committed to not only the University of Arizona, but to the Tucson community and to making the program better overall. I love this strategy, but I just don't think Miller has it in him to lay off the sweetness of the 5-star players that he's just so used to going after. I don't think he's going to do it. But I will say this. I think Miller is finally getting some sense knocked right into him because he is starting to change a little bit. We're seeing the Kevin Sumlin effect right now. Kevin Sumlin is everywhere. His marketing and attending every freaking community event. Now we're seeing Miller in July come out and talk basketball. I love it. I love it.
And
that's the heat he's getting right now.
I enjoy how he's making his players available to the media. He's allowing them to speak. Of course, he has to debrief from prior, but I enjoy how he makes them available so they're used to this publicity.
And really quick, let's go to Madness in November. Starts on the 19th. The Cats play in the Maui Invitational against Iowa State. They're on a collision course to play Gonzaga in the second round and then possibly, get this, the potential in preseason favorite, Duke.
That's quite the barn burner
in the championship
at the top of the season.
I love the fact that this, Arizona, you look at the rest of their schedule and they're playing a lot of patsies, and I love the fact that they're opening up with the Maui Invitational.
Out of conference, I enjoy it. Of course I do.
Yep.
Should parents who yell, curse, and fight at their children's sporting events be shamed publicly on Facebook? Brian Barlow, an extremely fed-up kid soccer coach from North Carolina, started a Facebook page called Offside. He's offering $100 for videos that show hostile and abusive parents making jerks of themselves at youth sporting events. His goal is to shame them into changing their ugly behavior.
I love this idea. Too bad someone didn't come up with it sooner, because you look at these parents, how pathetic is it to see a mother or a father fighting at a kid's soccer game, Little League baseball game, just because they want to live vicariously through their child, and they have no ability to play anyway. But to fight? What kind of sportsmanship is that? And what is that teaching the kids? Man, it's awful.
Of course, and I I'm very confident in saying that this has to be handled to the point of where a random North Carolina citizen has to take things to Facebook to publicly shame everyone. Is there nobody dictating what's going on in the bleachers to begin with, that he has to take it upon himself to pay $100 to dictate these parents? Something needs to go on right before that step.
I love the public shaming. If that's what's going to get people to behave at a youth athletic event, then shame them all day long and show their actions. That way, when they see themselves on Facebook or the place where they work at or their bosses see their behavior, maybe they'll be embarrassed enough to be able to change the way they appear in public. But you know what? It's funny because my girlfriend's daughter played in an all-star softball game, and you know what the rule was? Parents, you cannot cross this line, come and talk to the kids in the dugout. Why? Because too many darn parents go in there and start trying to out-coach the coach and tell the kids what to do, and it's awful. And then it becomes a fight and an argument, and it's just this is the best thing I think happening right now on Facebook. Seriously.
I hope it does at the very least trickle down into some more dictating, some more standards held at the bleachers of Little League games and high school games. In high school games, it's a lot worse too.
And I just have to say, parents, if you're one of those who are out there and you're fighting and yelling at the referees or the coaches and embarrassing yourself, stop it. Stop it. It's not funny. It's horrible. All right. Well, it's time now for Rapid Fire. I fire off a topic with the local sports connection. Arty fires back a rapid response, hopefully. Now, with no returning starters, which Arizona basketball player will have the biggest impact next year?
I think it's going to be Brandon Williams, only because he has Brandon Randolph.
Yeah.
Because he has the other Brandon and Devonair Dutrieve to lead behind him. So what he has to do is set an example so that this can be a very solid position for the next 4 or 5 years.
I actually agree with you on that. I think Brandon Randolph is going to have a huge impact. But then again, I would have to say, now he's a Wildcat, former Duke, now Wildcat. Chase Jeter is going to have a good impact this year. Big. All right, Arizona target and one of the top recruits in college basketball, Nico Mannion, reclassified and will be part of the 2019 recruiting class. Sean Miller has heavily recruited the 5-star guard.
Does he trust the system? Does he believe in the Wildcat way? Does he like Sonoran hot dogs? That's all I want to know. I don't care what his film looks like.
Remember, I told you just a couple of minutes ago, Sean Miller can't lay off the 5-star players.
Too enticing.
Perfect example.
They're too enticing.
All right. Was it the right move for ex-Wildcat Raleigh Elkins to sign a 2-way contract with the Chicago Bulls, joining his college buddy, Lauri Markkanen?
Yes and no. It was the best he could do. So if we're judging this off of making the best of a bad situation, he did it. Was it the best he could do? No. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day.
On that one. Well, ex-Wildcat Nick Foles is a Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, New York Times bestseller, and now an ESPY winner for Best Super Bowl Performance.
You know what else he won?
What?
The left side of the bench this season. We'll take him in.
I think he has a chance to do it all over again.
Disagree.
All right, we'll see. He's a Wildcat. All right, Arizona Cardinals running back David Johnson has ended his contract holdout that ran through the team's mandatory minicamp and has reported to training camp. Good news for the Cards?
Great news for the Cardinals, and it set an example for the Cardinals. They've been known to mishandle talent in numerous circumstances. I'm glad David Johnson put his foot down for him.
All right, I agree with that too. And I'm glad he's back because you know what? He scored 32 touchdowns in the last 3 seasons, and he set out, 12 games last year? Absolutely amazing.
Game changer.
Yep. Number of starts for you to predict for Cardinals rookie quarterback Josh Rosen to start this coming year.
This coming year, I don't think it's going to be a Bradford versus Rosen. I think first-time coach will sort of anchor each section of the playbook to a certain quarterback. I don't think it's going to be a battle necessarily. Maybe later in the season, but it's going to start out that way.
I think it's going to be a battle, but you know what? Bradford has yet to complete a full season in how long? He just can't stay healthy. So I think Rosen, I'm going to give him 10 games. 8 plus 2 playoff games. Did you give me a number? I think you did. Quickly, come on.
Probably say 7 or 8.
All right. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate the rapid
response.
fire. That was slow pedo.
Slow fire.
All right, let's jump right into Do We Care? As you know, we love to tackle community issues and not just sports and ask ourselves, do we care? Well, a controversial new Arizona law went into effect July 1st that requires courts to give frozen embryos to the spouse who wants to have a baby after the couple divorces. Do we care?
When are we going to stop telling females that they are not entitled to their own bodies? They're the embryos. I believe that they belong to the female. I honestly do, and I think that this law could potentially put these couples into a corner to make a decision that the state doesn't need to make.
I think this is the state's way of closing a loophole that some deem as abortion if those embryos don't go used. But I will say this. Is it just a woman's decision? I wholeheartedly agree with you 1,000,000 gazillion %. As a father, single father with a daughter, you know what? I also have a right to say how those embryos should be used. And you know what? I also have a right to say, should my ex-wife use those embryos to have a baby? What? This law says, no, you don't have to pay child support or be in that child's life. How the hell would I not want to be in that child's life knowing that there's a child out there that is me?
That's one way to put it.
I disagree with you saying that it's just a woman's right. I really do. It's a man's right as well. And honestly, I think I wouldn't be able to live with myself knowing that, you know, my ex has a baby out there and I'm not a part of that child's life. You know, sorry.
Thanks, Steve. Governor Ducey's calendar shows he had TV interviews, meetings with some lawmakers, visited Vice President Mike Pence to raise money for his campaign, while teachers went on strike April 26th through May 3rd. The prolonged strike affected 1,000 schools and 850,000 students.
It tells you exactly where his head was and is and where it's at today. We talked about this last week, that Governor Ducey staged a press conference to promote the border strike force and yet used it as an opportunity to film a campaign ad to make him look tough on border crime. This is pathetic to find out that he was campaigning with the vice president, trying to raise money for his campaign as opposed to solving an issue for teachers and pay raises and funding of public education, affecting almost 1 million students.
If he was trying to run a campaign and he was trying to dictate his campaign, why didn't he just solve the entire Red for Ed crisis to begin with? That would have swayed a whole lot of people into one direction for his preceding campaign.
Agreed. All right, really quick. The Arizona Lottery had a record-breaking year in 2018, reporting more than $981 million in sales. Of that, $210 million will fund education, economic development, environmental conservation, and health services. Do we care?
We've been forced to be okay with it. Let's put it that way.
I'll say this. How can we raise that much money but yet still cut funding for health care, including access for children and Medicaid for the elderly, but yet not fund
only health care
education with $210 million? Pathetic. Agreed?
Agreed.
All right. Well, you've heard the phrase, oh, no, you didn't. Well, here at the 520, we're not afraid to tell it like it is with, oh, yes, we did. Are sporting events winners for cities? How about an entire state? Well, here's the one-word answer. Absolutely. In fact, Arizona's Office of Tourism is reporting a record number of visitors who spent a record amount of money last year that poured $22.7 billion in Arizona's economy. Tourists spent nearly $62 million a day supporting 187,000 jobs. Visitors stayed on average about 4 nights at a hotel. The Office of Tourism credits spring training, the Waste Management Phoenix Open Golf Tournament, NASCAR, and you can also add the Arizona Diamondbacks, Arizona Cardinals, Arizona Coyotes, and Phoenix Suns, bringing in some tourist dollars with traveling teams as well. So How much did the state reap in tax revenue? A whopping $3.4 billion. Be with the boy, billion in 2017. So why is this dollar figure important to highlight? Because politicians love building sports stadiums. And despite the financial bonanza we're experiencing, it's our job not to let the political big heads cave on using these numbers and these stats and these dollars as an excuse to use taxpayer dollars to build new stadiums. Right now, the D-backs are looking to build a new stadium. The D-backs wanted taxpayers to foot the $87 million bill to upgrade Chase Field. The idea failed. Now they're threatening to move. And you better believe taxpayers funding their new stadium will come up for discussion. Remember, we're still paying for that pit hole called Tucson Electric Park. The D-backs followed the White Sox and bolted after Phoenix politicians lured them over to greener pastures by paying for their spring training stadiums. It happens all the time, but it's our fault for letting it happen over and over again. Don't, and I'll say this again, don't be a sucker. Stand up to them, and our tax dollars should not be used to fund stadiums just because we have a growing economy.
Agreed, right on the nose. My turn next. Earlier in the show, we discussed the immaturity of Khalil Tate and his antics, and it resembles a similar relationship from Malik Henry and his head coach, a quarterback on the new show Last Chance U on Netflix. A struggle of a moderately successful player wondering why he doesn't have a big enough voice on the team. This is such a common problem in athletics that I feel obligated to address it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and give you the dad answer of, look, son, you got to know your place on the field, because it's not that. It's trusting the system. It's believing in your head coach, believing that his life's work was deciding that you're capable of running his plays. The difference between a house chef and a gourmet chef is that the house chef knows it tastes good, the gourmet chef knows why it tastes good. They know what's in the sauce. Your head coach knows exactly and why and how you're a great athlete, and you're still trying to understand why you're uncomfortable rolling to the left side of the field. You're even attempting to discredit his decisions. The decisions of your head coach is an absolute insult to the very reason you signed your letter of intent, so they can help you get to the next level. If you're spending an entire film session arguing with them, why did you give them that power? Did you not even trust yourself with that decision? At the end of the day, of course, everything goes case by case, but I promise you, you don't know what's in that sauce.
Do you know the difference, besides my good looks, between the both of us? Yeah. I'm always right, you're always wrong.
I know what's in the sauce.
You got sauce, baby. You got sauce.
Let's not make that a thing. Let's not make that a thing.
All right, before we go, take a look at the clip of the week.
This says, you embody all the things this program strives to be. You have earned a full scholarship.
And with that pop and that message inside that balloon, Malika, a point guard, a walk-on point guard for the University of Arizona women's basketball team, gets a full ride scholarship. Tell me, that is not a feel-good story right there.
Heck yes, it is. I'm just so glad somebody took it upon themselves to document it just for her safe well-being, because of course she always wants to remember that.
And I think that is just the sweetest thing ever. I really do. And it's a good way to end, right? All right, on a positive note, well, that does it for this episode of the 520. Our goal is to tell it like it is, because it's all about giving voice to opinions, even if you don't agree.
Be sure to follow the 520 on Facebook and on Twitter at the 520 Tucson.
And if you have a topic you want us to cover, send us an email at the520@KVOA.com. I'm Steve Nunez.
And I'm Arty IV. Join us next week on the 520.
Go Wildcats.